أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يعدي حقه المجتهدون. الذي بعد فلا يرى وقرب فشهد النجوى تبارك وتعالى. الصلاة والسلام على الرسول المسدد والمصطفى الأمجد أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وبآله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين. إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الحكيم والفرقان الحميد: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل محمد. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with this month, the month which is the month of Sha'ban, and it's also known as the month of our Prophet Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. And of course, among the important dates that we have in this month, we have the first 3 nights, 3rd, 4th and 5th of Sha'ban, of Milad and Khushali. And thereafter, inshaAllah ta'ala, there will come the night of celebration, celebrating the birth of our living 12th Imam, Imam Zamana Ajjalallahu ta'ala wa faraja. As I recited this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Quran says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنْ أَمْوَالٍ وَنَقْصٍ وَالْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ راجعون. Allah says, we shall definitely test you. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. There is an emphasis in the word وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ when we say waw, lam and noon. Lam is for ta'keed. Ta'keed means a warning, an advance warning. Allah is warning us. And noon is for an oath. He swears, means certainty, means attention, and most certainly. We will definitely and undoubtedly, we will test all of you, all the mankind on this earth. بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ, sometimes with a little of fear, and sometimes with a little of hunger. Khawf, fear; ju', hunger. Sometimes with losses in your wealth, amwal, in your wealth, and loss in your earnings. You will be taken to task for that befalls your children, for example. You will be taken to task for that as well. That is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And your lives, of course. Death will definitely come unto every soul. And we will test you, and Allah says then, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ. And then, O Prophet, give glad tidings and good news to those who have forbearance and patience. So when the test is there, it is there. But now Allah is giving us the glad tidings that whoever passes this test with forbearance and patience, for wherever they go through such experiences of afflictions and calamities, they say unto him, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That we belong to you and we shall return unto you. And then the last part is, Ulaika alayhim salawatu min rabbihim wa ulaika humul muflihun. That there is salawat on those people who have that forbearance and patience. Allah sends salawat, blessings on them. Salawatu min rabbihim wa ulaika humul muflihun means they are the people who have passed the test. This is the basic concept of this ayah. So wherever one passes through these experiences, as promised by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there are two categories of people on earth, two categories. One is people like me, for example, like me, who lead a normal life. And practically, I have no goal, no aim, no mission in life. I live a life, maybe inshallah with piety. And when these tests come to me, I have better forbearance and patience to endure these tests. I'm leading a life without any particular end, without any particular goal. It's very easy for me to have patience. To be patient or to put up with trials and tribulations in life or lay by Gentiles, it's very easy for them. The real test comes. This is the second group of people who have a mission. They are on a mission. They are, say, for example, spreading the word of Ahlul Bayt. They are involved in spreading the word of Ahlul Bayt, spreading word of the Prophet of Islam. In that mission you have undertaken, then you come across some impediments, some tests, and some hurdles like this. When suddenly, as you are serving the Ummah and Islam, it is very difficult to bear these tests. Because now you are proceeding towards a goal. There is an aim. And you, on this road, on this route, on this path, these comes the impediment and the hurdles. God forbid that my young son dies or my dear one dies. We sustain some losses in our earnings. A tsunami comes, wipes out everything. An earthquake happens. It's happened. People who are millionaires overnight, earthquake is happening. In an instant, everything is gone. This is a test. Everything is gone. So after having sustained this type of loss and the damage, and then a person still continues on that mission, is to be seen whether he is still continuing or he is abandoning it. Because he can simply say that I am on a particular mission. I am serving in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am serving in the path of Ahlul Bayt. Now all these calamities and all these problems are happening to me. Forget it. Allah can take care of himself. I am living this mission. Enough is enough. And person abandons this mission. So these are the two types of categories or human beings that we have. And those who are on a mission, they get tested even further. These are the stages in life. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. These are the stages in life, he says, where in spite of the adversities, if we continue to work towards our aim and our goal incessantly for that objective and for that mission, then of course we have understood the philosophy of this ayah, the philosophy of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala requires us to. Now to give you an example, many people from East Africa, there was a time in early 60s when Allama Sayyid Akhtar Rizvi established Bilal Muslim Mission, Tanga, Mombasa, Dar es Salaam. It started from Dar es Salaam. And Agha Mehdi, of course, many of you know him, Allama Sayyid Akhtar Rizvi, everyone knows. And to help him was Agha Mehdi al-Shushtari. So many people at that time. Now this was a mission to spread the word of Ahlul Bayt. There was a time in East Africa there were no Africans who were Shia. There was no spread of the word of Ahlul Bayt in the indigenous community in East Africa. In Zanzibar, in Dar es Salaam, Pangani, Tanga, Lamu, everywhere. There was not a single indigenous person who was Shia. The first school of Bilal Muslim Mission that was established by Allama Sayyid Akhtar Rizvi, helped by Agha Mehdi al-Shushtari, it was a very difficult task for them because people from the community went and told the donors who were donating for this cause that why are you trying to convert these Africans? They are hungry. If you bring them into the fold of Ahlul Bayt, number one, they are going to eat from us. Number two, they will ask for money because they have no money, they are poor. And number three, they are going to ask for our daughters in hands. This was how the impediments and the blockades came for the Bilal Muslim mission. Now, in spite of all this opposition, in spite of all these hurdles that came in the way, and many other people at that time joined Bilal Muslim mission in East Africa. Today, if you see the same East Africa, the whole coast, there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of Shia Muslims, indigenous Muslims. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. See, there was a mission, one person, he started it. And today, in spite of all the oppositions, and the end result is, look at Nigeria today. The whole cities and cities full of followers of Ahlul Bayt. And as on the contrary, now if you see, Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. There were Christian missionaries. I read this on the Neo Geographical magazine, either Presbyterian or born-again Christians, in the last century, some time ago. There were 4 Christian missionaries. This is amazing and unbelievable. 4 Christian missionaries who were on a mission to proselytize, to spread Christianity. And they went to one of the South Pacific islands where the indigenous people have never heard of any religion. Maybe they were worshipping their own ancestors, and they were kind of cannibals, cannibalistic nature. So these 4 pastors, they decide to go to the jungles of the island of South Pacific in order to promulgate Christianity. What happens? The indigenous people there, they thought these white men, the meat must be very good. What they did was they killed them and they ate them, literally. All the 4 people, their mission remained incomplete. They were killed and eaten up by the indigenous people in the jungles of the South Pacific Islands. They came for a mission which they could not fulfill. The wives that they left behind in their countries, 3 years now, and they're still waiting that we will get a word from them, we might get a letter from them. Our husbands have been successful. What has happened to them? They had no idea, absolutely no idea. So what they did, they despaired, and in disparity, when they left hope, there was one flicker of hope that's let's travel to those islands. So the ladies, these 4 wives of these pastors, they traveled to the same island that their husband had traveled to. And when they landed, they found out that their husbands had been killed, have died. So instead of lamenting and blaming God or blaming themselves or blaming the mission or whatever, what they did was they vigorously worked hard, even harder than what their husbands were supposed to do. And guess what? The whole of the South Pacific Island converted to Christianity. SubhanAllah. You see, that's the mission. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ. We will test you in your missions. We will test you. And when there is a mission, that is the value of that mission, that whether you abandon that mission after the tests come from Allah, or you keep on going in full force. So we have to understand that no work can stop in the cause of some adversities or calamities. A mission or a goal taken up by us cannot stop. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's why he says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, that not you, even the Prophet was tested, and all our A'immah have been tested with a mission that is entrusted to them. So this ayah stands paramount in our lives. Now tonight, I wish to discuss a particular incident in the history of Islam, history of Ahlul Bayt, where there was a gap. You know there was a gap? How there was a gap? Say, for example, Nabi Adam came. Nabi Adam was the first prophet. After that, Nabi Nuh. Now, Nabi Nuh, the deluge comes. Correct? There is the deluge. There are few people on the boat, and the whole of the mankind on earth is wiped out. When the ark comes to rest, there are few people, few animals, few birds on board. Nabi Nuh, or the Insaniyat, means the human beings, they started procreating all over again. Everything was wiped out. There was a gap. When Nabi Nuh's deluge came. Same thing happened to Imam Zainul Abidin. Imam Zainul Abidin, after Karbala, when he was captured and went to Kufa and Sham, maximum 12 months. And then he comes back. See, now the followers of Ahlul Bayt, they cannot access their Imam, because he is the next Imam after Al-Hussein Imam alayhi salam. They cannot access. There is no way that they can talk to that Imam. That is that gap. That is why Imam Zainul Abidin is known as Adam Ummati Ahlul Bayt. He is known as the second Adam of the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. Why? Because there is that gap. When he came back to Medina, things were out of control. Because of the tragedy that had transpired, because of the problems, everyone knew exactly what has happened. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Considering that if we were there when Imam Zainul Abidin came, we were there in Medina, and this tragedy has happened. People are in fear of Banu Umayyah, literally. They are in fear of Banu Umayyah. It was a time where people left the school of thought of Ahlul Bayt after the tragedy of Karbala. There was a time in this incident when Imam Zainul Abidin came back from Sham, that people who were staunch followers of Ahlul Bayt, they went into taqiyya, they went kind of underground. They would not say that they are followers of Ahlul Bayt. If they were taken to task or they were asked, they said, oh, no, we don't know anything. We have no idea what you are talking about. This was the time of, as we call, hayrani or pareshani. It was a time which, hayrani means not knowing what to do. This was the time, 1 year or more. Say Imam Zainul Abidin comes back after 12 months. And then for him to get established is another 3-4 months, or say 6 months. So a period of 18 months, say minimum 12 months, he is not accessible to his followers. And then when he comes back, he has to reorganize everything. That is why he is known as Adam of that time, because he had to start the school of thought of Ahlul Bayt all over again. After having suffered, after having suffered all the detention and all the calamities that befell the household of the Prophet. Now, a man who is not committed to this mission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala men like me, would have immediately said that now enough is enough. All our friends and family members have been cut off in Karbala. Their throats have been slit. Heads have been taken off. We have suffered so much. My family, our family have been paraded in the bazaars and in the streets. Right? So much of calamities. I have been shackled. I have got a yoke around my throat. And a person like me would have said, that's enough. Now Allah can take care of His own mission. I have had enough and I'm leaving it. But no. When asked Imam Zainul Abidin, he says, no. He says, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, and he repeated the same ayah. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. And this is how he established again the school of thought. And there are 3 major principles or categories of schools that he established at that time. The time was not good. The spies of Bani Umayyah were everywhere. They were keeping an eye on Imam Zainul Abidin. One wrong step and he was gone. That is how the time was. People were scared all over the Muslim empire. Sometimes, I wonder, and it is very unjust, unfair to Imam Zainul Abidin, when some Zakirin from the Mimbar, they said that he lived for 34 years after Karbala. If you take 61 Hijrah, the tragedy of Karbala that transpired, is 35 years. And Zakirin sometimes have the audacity to say that for 35 years he cried and he cried and he cried. So it gives an impression that he did nothing. He went into seclusion and he cried. And you think an Imam would do that who's on a mission? He is on a divine mission, literally, by the orders of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the orders of his own grandfather. You see, so sometimes it is unfair to Imam Zainul Abidin. He did not go into seclusion. He was not crying in vain or lamenting in vain. No. There was some motivation. The first thing that he came back when he arrived in Medina, after a few days, immediately he called some of his closed friends, very close friends, the Sahaba who were there, and says, now you will have to travel and spread the word of Ahlul Bayt again. Now start all over again. So he sent his people, his chosen people, trusted Sahabas, say for example Kufa, Basra, Sham, all the main cities of Arabia at that time, the Arabian Empire. And he told them, he gave them instructions that whatever may happen, say openly that this is what Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib has said. This is what Imam Hassan has said. He says, do not lose courage. Give out the hadith of the Prophet, the traditions of the Prophet, the teachings of the Prophet without any fear. This was the instructions. And these are the hard times, by the way. And he's giving instructions to his own trusted people. After 1 year, he called them back. 12 months. After a year, he summons them for reporting. And this is a very interesting chapter in the history of Islam. And he wants a report from that what's happening. 6, 7 people, you have gone to Kufa, Basra, Sham, Halab, all these places. What is happening? And they reported that Ibn Rasulullah, unfortunately, we are talking to people, but the fear is so much, and because of what has transpired, everything is fresh in their mind. No one is conducive, no one is responding. The fear is still there in their minds. Karbala has just transpired. It is still fresh. So Ibn Rasulullah people are not even inclined to listen to us. They don't approach us. When we approach them, they run away. So Imam asks, who are you sitting with? Who are you talking to? So he says, of course, the elders of the community, the influential people of the community. And Imam alayhi salam says, no. Go back. You will go back. Alaykum bil ahda. This is the exact words that he says. Alaykum bil ahda. Go back and talk to the youth, the teenagers of the community. Do not talk the seniors. Do not talk to the elders of the community. They have a set mind that fear has already crept into their mind. They will not change. You need the young people of the community who will change, who will accept this change, and who will come into the fold of Ahlul Bayt without any fear. That is why when we say, when you're looking for an alim, we have to look for an alim, especially in this community, who can bring the youth back to this mosque. Because they are the future generation of this mosque. If the teachings of Ahlul Bayt is embedded and entrenched in the mind of youth with a scholar who is charismatic and knowledgeable, this community is going to prosper. And this is exactly what Imam Zainul Abidin said. Alaykum bil ahda. Go target the youth. And exactly, they went back, they targeted the youth, and immediately the result was that by the throngs, people flocked to the school of Ahlul Bayt. So by the time of our fifth Imam, Imam Muhammad Baqir, and Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam arrives, they had 4,000 students studying in their hawza. 4,000 students does not make a community. A community that can produce 4,000 students must be a very large community. 4,000 students means that there was a very large community. Must be a very huge community. If the effort, this is number one, started from Imam Zainul Abidin. So you just don't get students like that, 4,000. Imam Zainul Abidin started, he sowed the seed, and it germinated in the time of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, that there were 4,000 people that were getting knowledge of the true knowledge of Ahlul Bayt of Islam. Second, he made them realize the treasure of Azadari. Now when we say Azadari, it comes into our mind that we organize a majlis in the mosque and people come and a zakir goes on the mimbar and recites the tragedy of Karbala and people cry. No. It's not what Imam Zainul Abidin did. This is not the concept. That is our concept, our Khoja concept, our Indian Pakistani concept. What Imam Zainul Abidin did, he performed the Azadari on the streets of Medina. He would pass by the street where there's a butcher shop. And then when he sees the butcher and an animal has been slaughtered, he goes and asks the butcher that, did you give water to this animal before you slaughtered it? And he says, Ibn Rasulullah, I'm a Muslim. I cannot slaughter an animal without giving food and water. And then he starts lamenting and crying, and people throng around and they listen. He gave out the tragedy of Karbala like that on the streets of Medina. This was the second institution. Do not underestimate the institution of Azadari, my brothers and sisters. Why do we have so much of opposition for Azadari today in this world? Why? From every angle, from our own Muslim brothers. Learned scholars of the Muslims, they say Shia should forget Karbala now. No, we are not going to forget Karbala. This was promulgated by Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Person comes to Imam Zainul Abidin's house and he's a guest. And during the talk, after a few days, Imam Zainul Abidin, look at the way he imparts, because he's going to take back this knowledge to his city where he came from. He says, brother, ayyuhal akh, if you die today, do you have yaqeen, do you have satisfaction that you will be buried honorably in this city? He says, Yabda Rasulullah, koi baat hai? I mean, it's not a question to be asked. Person like you hosting me, Muslims around me, they will be given, I know I will be given honorable ghusl, kafan and dafan. And this is how he starts. And he relates the tragedy of Karbala again. That this is how my father's body was kept for 3 days and 3 nights on the plains of Karbala without ghusl and without kafan. This is the second institution of Azadari that he promulgated. And the third program he instituted was to teach in circumstances which were not conducive, which were not amiable at that time, not even favorable, to teach ourselves, to teach the Muslims in such a manner that the teachings would remain forever. Now at that time, if he had established a school, the force of Banu Umayyah was there. The spies were everywhere. If he would have started classes, you think he would have survived? He would have been destroyed by Banu Umayyah. So what he did was ingenious. Imam was ingenious. He devised a method which of course is unique, and that was in the form of dua. Today we have what? How many of us we have had the chance even to look at the book of Sahifa Sajjadi? How many? We think, in our mind we think it's a book of dua. Brothers, it's not a book of dua. It's a book of instructions. It is a book of how you will conduct yourself. It is all in the name of Allahumma, Allahumma. Allah doesn't come down and do it. Does he come down and do it? Or does he come from the sides and do it? No. He inspires us, yes, spiritually. But this is the practical thing that he gave out, and I'll give you just one example. Dua Makarimul Akhlaq is, of course, is a genius dua that we recite in the month of Ramadan without even understanding. We think that we are asking Allah. No. If you see the translation of Dua Makarimul Akhlaq, it teaches us how to behave, how our akhlaq should be, how should we behave in a community, how we should behave in our house, how should we treat our family members, everything encompassed. Allah, if we ask Allah, He is not going to do it. We've got to change. We have got to change, my brothers and sisters. So, an example. There are so many du'as in Sahifa Sajjadiyah, but these are all teachings. They are not du'a, basically, but these are instructions and teachings. Du'a for, du'a for the parents, du'a for the children, du'a how children should behave with their parents, and what is demanded of the parents towards their children. These are in the form of du'a, but these are instructions of what we are supposed to do in a family life. And so many, etc., so many other things. There is one thing that is never talked about, and this is what I have found, dua number 17. I think it's known as, of course, there are dua for bidding farewell to Ramadan, when Ramadan, entrance in Ramadan, dua for human behavior, makarim al-akhlaq, and etc. This is not talked about, and I find it very fascinating. If it's a Muslim country, and there are frontiers, hudud, boundaries, which in Arabic are known as thugur, either hudud or thugur, had, as we say in Urdu. And there is a dua for ahlu thugur, those who are in the army in the Muslim country. The dua is for them, but this is not a dua. It is instruction. How are you going to guard your frontiers? How are you going to guard your boundaries? Now listen to this. He says, وَحَسِّنْ ثُغُورَ الْمُسْلِمِينَ بِعِزَّتِكَ that fortify the frontiers of the Muslims. Is Allah going to do that? He is instructing the army that fortify your frontiers. Number one. Then he says, وَكَثِّرْ عِدَّتَهُمْ وَاشْحَذْ أَسْلِحَتَهُم. Increase their numbers. Means he's advising the Muslim young people to join the army. Go join the army for the defense of your country. And he asks Allah, sharpen their weapons. Allah sharpening our weapons? No. Make sure that you have those weapons to deal with the enemies. Make sure that you have those weapons. The most modern weapons that we can say, so that you can defend yourself and your country from the enemy. I mean, when we say Allahumma sharpen their weapons, Allah is not going to come and sharpen. This is the instructions He is giving to the army of a Muslim country. Then He says, وَحْرُسْ حَوْضَتَهُمْ. Guard their territory. Is Allah going to guard territory? Yes, spiritually, yes. But who is going to guard the territory? He is instructing the soldiers to guard their own territory. How? Defend their midst. He says, وَامْنَعْ مَتَهُمْ وَعَلِّفْ جَمْعَهُمْ. Make their army or soldiers full of unity, love and courage. Is Allah going to make it? Unity, love and courage? Yes, He may inspire, definitely. But so long as we do not have feelings for each other, it's not happening. It's not going to happen. And then He says, وَدَبِّرْ أَمْرَهُمْ. Regulate meticulously every affair and businesses of theirs successfully, and send them supplies in a steady stream. In the time of war, you need supplies. Allah is not going to send supplies. You got to find a device, a way, so that the supplies reach you. Whether it is food, whether it's ammunition, whether it is reinforcement, it has to come through your own doing. We say, Imam Zainul Abidin, to keep a low profile, under the radar, he says everything under Allahumma, everything under Allahumma. But he has given instructions of how a Muslim country should behave with its soldiers. Then he says, وَعْرِفْهُمْ وَيَجْعَلُونَ. Give them the knowledge for which they are ignorant. What does that mean? You have to have your espionage and counter-espionage agencies together. You should know the movement of the enemies, where they are coming from, where they are going to attack, when they are going to attack. You need to have a signal traffic officer to know that an attack is coming from. Allah is not going to signal you that an attack is coming from the enemy. Look at the way the Imam As-Sajjad has given the instructions out to the Muslim countries to defend themselves, to the soldiers, to the armies. And then he says, وَعَلِّمْهُ مَا لَا يَعْلَمُونَ وَبَصِّرْهُمْ مَا لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. And let them know what they do not know, and let them see what they do not see. What does that mean? It means you got to have a spy agency. You got to have an intelligence agency to know where the enemy is situated, how far he has reached, when the attack is going to come. All this encompassed, this is the third teaching that he instituted in the form of Sahifa Sajjadiyya, which 90% or 95% of us, we don't even read, we don't even know. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And secondly, especially in Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq, a monkey was put in a cage. And given a very long stick. A long stick was inserted in the cage. Now that monkey did not know what to do with it. Naturally, an animal, he has no idea. The stick was lying there. Now this was an experiment conducted by Urafa. Urafa means those who have knowledge of how the mind of an animal works. A fruit was kept within his reach in the cage. So without moving, the monkey picked up the fruit and started eating. It's hunger. So the monkey extended his hands without moving and took it and ate it. Next time what they did was that he kept the fruit a little further away. When they kept a little further away, it sees extends its hand, doesn't come. So it has to move its body now. So it has got to walk to that fruit and takes it. Third time what they did was they kept it out of the cage, out of the bars. So now when he comes to the bars, he cannot get that fruit. He has to extend his hands. The monkey has to extend his hands to get that fruit because now hunger is killing him. So it extended his hands, and Now, the fourth time what they did was they kept the fruit so far away that even if he moved himself and extended his hands, he could not get it. Now the matrix changes. Now see, in Swahili we say wanazuoni, how the people, they practice, they find out the nature of animals, the matrix changes. Now it realizes why the stick has been kept in its cage. Now it picks up the stick, extends it out of and brings the fruit in to eat, because hunger now is killing him and he wants that fruit. So now the matrix changes, and now he knows, that animal knows that this stick is going to get me that food. This is exactly what Imam Zainul Abidin has said in Makarim al-Akhlaq, Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq. If we understand that humans have two drives, two basic drives, which are very powerful, two drives. One is hunger and one is sex. Two drives. And a human being can be driven into the worst of pitfalls when driven by these two very strong passions. And both of them, if they are not properly regulated, can lead us into ruins. Because if a man is not regulating his appetite and hunger, he can go for haram and eat anything that is available on the streets. That is what hunger does. And psychologists have agreed, and even the Urafa, means the people of tasarruf, of those like Paul Brunton, Bernard Shaw, they have written books on self and over self and yoga, etc., all those things. You read there and you will find that they all have come to a consensus, a conclusion, that two strong drives in a human being which we have must be diverted for something good. And this is exactly Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq is. This is what it teaches us. That if you have a drive of hunger and you find yourself approaching haram things, how to divert your attention and your energy towards something that is positive. And secondly, a drive of sex. This is one of the major impediments that it can drive a person towards fornication and adultery. And this is what the teaching has been given by Imam Zainul Abidin, how to drive that hunger for sex into a legitimate, a positive energy. Look at what happened in Kashmir. Do I need to say anything? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Human beings falling beyond the wild animals. I mean, more jungly than the wild animals. Wild animals, they even have got an instinct. They do it on instinct. But these human beings, these loafers who did with their child for the drive of sex. And this is what Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq teaches us. This is only an example I'm giving you. There are so many things: jealousy, rancor, anguish, ghiba, gossiping, backbiting. Imam Zainul Abidin has given instructions how to overcome these negative traits into positive energy. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So, read. This is what I can only say, that read Imam Zainul Abidin's Sahifa Sajjadiyya. Read Sahifa Sajjadiyya, 2 verses, 3 verses a day, in a week. And you see the instructions there. You will find the instructions, how much of treasure that has been left by our Aimma, this as a gem. It's a gold, a treasure pot of gold that Imam Zainul Abidin has left his legacy forever after the tragedy of Karbala. These are the 3 institutions stand paramount in the life of Imam Zainul Abidin. He did not just sit and cry. No, he did not sit and lament. No. He instituted programs for the followers of Ahlul Bayt to come back to the fold of Ahlul Bayt, the pristine form of teaching of Islam. Sometimes, unfortunately, we don't even ponder over this. If we ponder over the meanings, we will find that this book that we read in other psychological books and the philosophical treatises that have been combined, you will find everything that the West has written on treatises, on peace agreements, you name it, it is there in Sahifa Sajjadiyya, with instructions for us how to perform that action. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And to end, Imam Zainul Abidin was born on 38th Hijrah, either on the 15th Jamadiul Awal, there are two riwayah, and the 5th or the 5th of Sha'ban. Most of the narrators have narrated 5th of Sha'ban. In the tragedy of Karbala, 61 Hijrah, Imam's age was between 27 and 29. This is what is given. Some narrators have reported even 24. But most of the narrators have given 27, 28, or 29. And there is a very remote and not very reliable report which says that Imam was born in 30 Hijrah. There are some reports, minor, that says 30 Hijrah, but it's actually 38 Hijrah. His mother was an Iranian princess, Yazdijerd's daughter. When Iran was conquered, I think at the the time of second Caliph, Umar ibn Khattab. Iran was conquered then, and Yazdijerd's daughter, there were two daughters who were brought over, Sherbanu, her name was Sherbanu. And historians, they've put all sorts of doubts of not Sherbanu being her mother. The doubt is whether she came to Arabia in the time of second Khalifa or the third Khalifa. That's the doubt. Some have narrated she came in the time of second, some have narrated she came in the time of Osman. That is the doubt. But no doubt, she came to Arabia at that time, and she was not the only one. There were two sisters, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam married Sherbanu. And Imam Zainul Abidin was born of this lady. That is why Imam Zainul Abidin is known as Ibnul Khiyaratain. Ibnul Khiyaratain means sons of two nobilities. One is to Bani Hashim, see, a Masum Imam, and one goes to the royal family of Iran. And she died. You know, the funny thing is, we had gone for ziyarat in Iran. They took us to, we were kind of on a guided tour, some few of us. And the tour guide took us to a place which is known as Koh Sherbanu. And what he told us, I knew what was the story, but I did not want to challenge him then because there were too many people around. And he says this is the cave that Sherbanu spent the rest of her life after Karbala. But little did he know that Imam Zainul Abidin's birth, after a few days she died. So there is no way, so if ever you go to Iran and they take you to Koh Sherbanu, it's not true. It may be something else. But Bibi Sherbanu, she died after a few days of Imam Zainul Abidin's birth. And sometimes our Khojas, you know, we do not understand Banu, you know. We recite on our Marsiyas that Banu ne rokar kaha. When we say Banu ne rokar kaha, we think it's Sherbanu. It is not. Banu in Farsi means a lady. Khanum is a lady. Banu is a lady. So when we say Banu ne rokar kaha, ya Banu ne kaha, it doesn't mean Bibi Sherbanu. It means any lady. It can be Bibi Zainab, it can be Kulthum, it can be Rabab. Any one of these ladies is known as Banu. So not necessarily Sherbanu. And she was not there in Karbala. She was not there. He was brought up by a stepmother. Now this is what I want to impress upon our young people today. That this is, look at the legacy, look at the teachings that Imam Zainul Abidin has left behind, and we should talk about this. And this is the last thing. She was the wife of Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr. You know who's Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr? He's Abu Bakr's daughter, son. Now, when Abu Bakr died, his wife remarried to Imam Ali. And Muhammad was very young. So Imam Ali literally was kind of a father. He brought him up. And he was a staunch follower of Ahlul Bayt. So Muhammad ibn Abi Bakr's wife brought up Imam Zainul Abidin. She was his mother. And because she brought him up as a mother, always in life, Imam alayhi salam respected her so much that people did not realize the difference whether this is the real mother or a stepmother. That is how he respected her. That is how he loved her. Whenever they would sit for eating, Imam would serve food first to his mother. That mother, you eat first. And he would refuse to eat in her presence. And she knew why. She knew why. But there were people who started objecting and said, Ya Rasulullah, this, you do not eat with your mother, doesn't look good. And he said, no, I'd like to serve her first. She is my mother, and I would like to serve her. But there were some people who kept on insisted. So he said, look, at times it happens, and it has happened in the past, and it happens now, that my hand extends towards the same dish as her extends to, and out of respect, I do not like that. So I make sure that she chooses first what she wants to eat, and whatever is left, that I will eat. And this is the mother who had not given him birth, who had just looked after him. And there are so many other lessons in life, inshaAllah ta'ala, if Allah grants us the tawfiq to follow in these nights, especially in the night of 15th of Sha'ban. We shall talk more, inshaAllah, about Ahlul Bayt, or maybe in the Khutbatul Jum'ah. And we will continue to hear, inshaAllah, on the 15th night about the crown of Imam Mahdi Sahibul Zaman, Ajjalallahu ta'ala wa faraja, who lives. And may Allah grant us the tawfiq to appreciate the services that they have given in the cause of Islam. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Salawat ala Muhammad wa